The GPD XD, which was released in late 2015, was a popular Android gaming handle by the Chinese company Gamepad Digital. This sported a design similar to the Nintendo 3DS XL, which was a clamshell design. The device came with Android 4.4 KitKat, which was pretty good back then. The hardware consisted of a Rockchip RK3288 SoC, which was a ARM Cortex A17 chipset clocked at 1.4 gigahertz. This could go up to 1.8 gigahertz, but it was underclocked by GPD to keep the device from overheating. The device came with 2 gigabytes of RAM and anywhere from 16 to 64 gigabytes of internal storage. It had a 5-inch screen, which was a capacitive touchscreen at a resolution of 720p. The battery in the device was a 6,000 milliamp hour rechargeable battery. It had Wi-Fi on it, 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. You had a TF card slot, a mini HDMI out, dual stereo speakers. You had your basic controls on it, which was your dual analog stick, your face button, directional pad, and your L1 and R1 and L2 and R2 buttons. The device was pretty popular back in 2015 because it was pretty cheap. At the time, it was being sold for about $150, and sometimes it went down to as low as $120. Now, for that price, this device was pretty much a steal, and it started to become pretty popular because this was one of the cheapest Android handhelds that you could have picked up at the time, but it was being overshadowed by some other big names at the time, such as the NVIDIA Shield and the JXD S7800B and the Arcos Gamepad 2. However, as more people got this device in their hand, they saw what this GPD XD could do, and it was pretty much more powerful than those other devices, and it came with a better design overall. So taking a look at the handheld, you can see how this shares a lot of similarities to the Nintendo 3DS XL. And this was pretty much one of the best Android gaming handhelds that you could have picked up at the time. It was good for emulation. You could play anything from like Nintendo Entertainment System all the way up to PSP. Now with PSP, you couldn't play the full library at this. You could play maybe about 40 or 45% of the library. There were some games that would definitely run at full speed, even upscaled to a 2x resolution. Games such as God of War or Midnight Club, those wouldn't run on this device, no matter how many hacks you put on, no matter how much you overclock the system. Those games were just too powerful for that Rockchip processor. However, games from the Nintendo DS, you could emulate that perfectly. Game Boy, SNES, NES, Dreamcast, you could play maybe around 50 to 60% of the Dreamcast library. There were some games that wouldn't play, such as like Unreal Tournament, because those games were too powerful to run on this chipset. It would need a lot more GPU horsepower to get those games running at full speed. Personally, I owned one of the GPD XD, and I had it for about maybe a year or a year and a half before I broke mine. So it's not that it's fully damaged, it can be repaired. However, the ribbon cable that attached from the motherboard to the screen got broken, and I wasn't able to see anything on the screen. I did buy a replacement cable and install it myself to repair the device, and it worked for another maybe 2 to 3 months before the same thing happened again. And yeah, at that point, I just had it sitting around. Till this day I still have it. However, I can't see anything on the screen. The device works, but I can't get a ribbon cable for the screen. I enjoyed it a lot. Some games that I play on it was like GTA San Andreas, Real Racing 3, and others. I played like Dead Effect 2. That was a pretty good console quality game that was made for Android, and I played that on this handheld. I played games such as Nova 3. This ran Nova 3 beautifully. I played games such as Modern Combat 4 on this handheld, so it was pretty powerful, like Asphalt 8 and so on and so on forth. Those games ran so smooth on the GPD XD, so you could play a plethora of Android games, and emulation was pretty good. You could also like root the device and install some software such as GL Tools, and you could play some of the NVIDIA games on this GPD XD. There was a pretty big modding community behind this handheld. There was a custom firmware release for this device called the Legacy ROM, which overclocked that CPU from 1.4 gigahertz to 1.8 gigahertz, which would give you better performance with some emulators. It wouldn't really make a difference with PSP emulation, but in Dreamcast it did make some difference on some games, and like for like N64 it did make a difference. However, with that ROM, we saw, as stated before, better performance out of some emulators. You also got better performance out of some Android games. So for like GTA San Andreas, you'd get like better draw distance with that game. So when you're playing that, you get like better draw distance. You'll be able to see a lot more things further out while you're playing GTA San Andreas. So I'm just gonna wrap the video up here, guys. If you like the GPD XD, or if you own one back in the day, please go ahead and let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you like it, and please give the video a like and share the channel with a friend. Until then, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.